Picture this, it's 1979 and horror fans are losing their minds or shitting in the pants with fright over George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. But across the ocean, in Italy, a director named Lucio Fulci is about to drop a film so shocking, so grotesque, it'll change zombie movies forever. That film, Zombie, or Zombie 2, or Zombie Flesh Eaters, depending on where you're from. This is unlike the other dead flicks. It's a gut-punching, gut-munching, boundary-smashing shocker that left audiences horrified and hooked. So how did this low-budget Italian splatterfest become a legend in horror cinema? Well, let's sink our teeth into the blood-soaked world of Zombie to find out. Before we get to the guts, literally, let's set the stage. By the late 70s, Zombies was having a moment thanks to Romero's Dawn of the Dead. In Italy, that movie was called Zombie, and it was a massive hit. Italian producers never once to miss a cash grab greenlit a so-called sequel called Zombie 2, even though it absolutely had nothing to do with Romero's film. Enter Lucio Fulci, a director known for gritty thrillers and giallo, but ready to make his mark on horror. His mission, take zombies to a whole new level of terrifying, and in my opinion, he put some extras on the subgenre. Though released in Italy as Zombie 2 in order to capitalize from 1979's Dawn of the Dead, Zombie made its way to the States during the summer of 1980, late July or early August, as far as I remember. This movie not only pushed boundaries, it obliterates them. From the moment a zombie splintered wood skewers a woman's eye in agonizing slow motion, you know you're in for a batshit thrill. And then there's the underwater zombie versus shark scene. Yeah, you heard that right. A zombie fights a shark. Fulci's team, including effects wizards Gianetto De Rossi and Rosario Prestopino, used practical effects to create rotting corpses and oozing wounds that looked way too convincing. In fact, Zombie was so graphic it got slapped with the video nasty label in the UK, where censors were clenching their pearls over its violence. But that controversy, it only made fans more curious.
Full of blood, full of gore, full of splinters going in eyes, full of drills going in heads, full of nudity, full of Nazis, full of everything. The video nasties are bloody amazing. They're very important for film history. And I don't think there isn't a horror filmmaker alive today who doesn't owe a debt to a video nasty. They are such a big part of our British culture and worldwide. They're a worldwide phenomenon.
This was more than Hollywood's sanitized horror. This was raw, unapologetic, and in your face. And here's the thing, that gore wasn't just for shock value, but it set a new standard in what horror could do. American films were still playing it safe, but Zombie showed that you can go all out and still tell a story. It paved the way for the splatter craze of the 80s, influencing everyone from Sam Raimi to Peter Jackson. If you love the over-the-top gore and Evil Dead or Brain Dead, you've got Zombie to thank. This movie brought something fresh, for a lack of better word, to the zombie genre, a mix of old school voodoo and modern undead chaos. Unlike Romero's mole-bound zombies, Fulci set his story on a cursed Caribbean island called Matu. Here, zombies aren't just science gone wrong, they are tied to ancient voodoo rituals. It's a creepy blend of supernatural dread and flesh-eating horror that feels totally unique. This mix gave Zombie a distinct flavor, separating it from the American zombie blueprint. It kicked off a wave of Italian zombie flicks in the 80s like The Beyond, City of the Living Dead, and Burial Ground. Often called spaghetti splatter, took Fulci's formula, gore, weird vibes, and zero chill, and ran with it. Suddenly, Italy was the zombie capital of the world. And let's not forget the atmosphere. Fulci's Caribbean setting paired with Fabio Frizzi's haunting soundtrack feels like a fever dream. The music, especially during the eye-gouging scene, hits you like a punch. And here's a bit of trivia. Frizzi drew inspiration from the Beatles' A Day in the Life for that track. And who knew that zombies and psychedelic rock could vibe so well as connective tissue? Zombie's cinematography is straight up operatic. Those tight close-ups of decaying zombie faces, the slow dread-filled pacing, it's like Fulci's daring you to look away. And that underwater zombie fight, once again, it was a logistical nightmare to shoot, but Fulci pulled it off, creating one of the most iconic scenes in horror history, believe it or not. Directors like Quentin Tarantino and Guillermo del Toro have shouted out Fulci's camera work, and you can see Zombie's DNA in modern horror bold visuals. Although Fulci didn't have a big budget, Zombie was made for about 410 million Italian lira, pocket change compared to Hollywood, but he made every frame count. And here's the batshit part. Zombie was a global hit, ranking in more than its budget. It went by different names, of course, like Zombie Flesh Eaters in the UK, Zombie in the US, but everywhere it played, it left jaws hanging on the floor. It showed that low-budget horror could compete with the big dogs. So, why does Zombie still matter? Because after 45 years, its fingerprints are everywhere. It helped birth the Italian zombie boom, inspired a generation of gorehounds in even video games such as Resident Evil. It also proved that horror could be as wild as your imagination. Its cult status is rock solid and unlike any zombie film ever made for its mix of gritty realism and unhinged chaos. Even today, Zombie's practical effects hold up better than some CGI heavy blockbusters. World War Z. Fulci himself became a horror legend with Zombie, as it's often cited as his masterpiece alongside The Beyond. And the video nasty controversy had turned Zombie into a badge of honor for horror fans who wanted to see the real uncensored stuff. So let's give Fulci his belated flowers, and while he may not be as prolific as Romero or John Carpenter, he earned the title the Godfather of Gore, especially after succeeding films. In the end, Zombie shocked horror cinema by cranking the gore to 11, blending voodoo and flesh-eating terror and proving that a small film could have a massive impact. It's a love letter to excess, a middle finger to censorship, and a reminder that horror is at its best when it's fearless. So if you haven't seen Zombie yet, dim the lights and brace yourself for one of the wildest, terrific thrills in horror history. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring a bell.